Guys, it's happening. XRP is finally popping. And right now, it feels like we're standing right on the edge of one of the biggest moves we've seen in years. I've been saying it for weeks. The setup is there. The catalysts are lining up and the timing couldn't be more perfect. But listen, before we go deeper, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop an X in the comments, and let's get straight to it because what's unfolding right now could be historic. Now, I know it's been a few days since the last upload. Life's been hectic, but I had to come on today because things are heating up fast. XRP is moving strong, and the data behind this move is insane. We're talking a clean 9% pop in just a single session, sitting right around $255 at the time I'm recording this. And volume, get this, more than 116%. That's not just a retail pump, that's serious capital flowing into XRP. The kind of flow that hints at something much, much bigger brewing beneath the surface. And right in the middle of this surge, CNBC drops a headline that literally says it all. Ripple Labs is conquering crypto. Their words, not mine, conquering. They're finally acknowledging what we've been screaming for years. Ripple isn't playing in the sandbox anymore. They're taking over. The article breaks down how Ripple has been quietly stacking major acquisitions, over $4 billion worth in 2025 alone. That's not a company trying to survive in a bear market. That's a company positioning itself to dominate the next financial era. Think about that for a second. $4 billion in strategic acquisitions, while most of the crypto market has been stuck in fear and hesitation. Ripple is out here playing chess while the rest of the market is still figuring out checkers. That's why, when I look at what's happening with XRP right now, this isn't some random pump. This is confidence. This is the market starting to price in what Ripple's becoming. A financial infrastructure giant that's now stepping into traditional finance. And they're doing it aggressively. And that's why I keep saying XRP isn't just another altcoin. It's the foundation layer for the system that's being built right now. CNBC finally said it out loud. And that's a shift in narrative. Once mainstream outlets start framing Ripple as a conqueror of crypto, not a defendant in a lawsuit, it's game over. The perception flips, and perception drives price. So, if you're sitting there wondering, is this the beginning of something bigger? Yes, it is. But what's fueling it goes far beyond media coverage. Because behind the scenes, we've got political developments, financial catalysts, and ETF confirmations all converging at once. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. Now let's talk about what's really adding fuel to this XRP fire. Because while everyone's staring at charts, the real story is unfolding in Washington. Last night, U.S. senators finally voted on the motion to reopen the government. And for those of you who've been following, you already know this shutdown's been choking the market. Not just XRP, everything. The uncertainty was killing sentiment, freezing liquidity, and slowing down the approval process for key financial legislation. But that's about to end, and it's about damn time. Eleanor Tarrant just confirmed the House is set to return, pass the amended bill, and officially reopen the government by the end of this week. Let that sink in. We're closing the book on a 40-day shutdown that's been a drag on the economy, and the ripple effects, no pun intended, are about to be massive. Speaker Johnson has already come out saying he's got the votes locked to pass it. The betting markets, yes, poly market itself, are now pricing in an 84% chance the shutdown ends by Thursday. And that timing couldn't be more poetic because it's aligning perfectly with what's next on XRP's calendar. The Canary Capital XRP ETF launch on November 13th. Do you see how everything is syncing up? The government reopening, liquidity injections coming back online, Ripple fresh off swell with new institutional partners, and ETF readiness. It's all converging. This is what market alignment looks like before a major breakout. Now, if you're paying attention, here's what makes this even bigger. Governor Stephen Moran has now publicly called on the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates by 50 basis points in December. That's not just talk. That's a direct signal of easing financial conditions ahead. A rate cut means more liquidity. More liquidity means capital flow. And capital flow means the speculative engines of the crypto market fire back up. And XRP, as always, tends to move ahead of the curve. So, let's line it up. Government reopening, liquidity returning, ETFs on deck, and the Fed preparing to stimulate the economy again. It's a perfect storm, the type of setup that historically precedes an explosive rally. And guess which asset is positioned dead center of all of it? XRP. And remember, none of this is random. Institutions don't move $4 billion into a company without knowing what's about to happen. They've been building this positioning for months and maybe years, waiting for this exact macro environment to flip bullish. All right, let's get into what's really coming next, because this is where most people are completely asleep. Everyone's still treating XRP like it's just another altcoin. But what's lining up behind the scenes proves it's in a league of its own. We're not talking rumors anymore. We're talking 11 XRP ETFs now listed on the DTCC, either in active or pre-launch mode. That's not speculation, that's confirmation. You've got Canary Capital, Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, 21 Shares, and CoinShares. All of them preparing XRP ETF products. And here's the part nobody's connecting yet. These ETFs aren't just about exposure, they're about infrastructure. Once they go live, it allows traditional finance, the big funds, pensions, and banks to pour money into XRP without touching crypto exchanges. That's how real adoption begins. Now, imagine what happens when this goes public. At the same time, the Fed starts injecting liquidity and global institutions regain access to capital. You'll see an inflow like we haven't seen since the 2017 boom. But this time, it won't be retail driving it. It'll be institutional, the big boys. And while everyone keeps pretending the old cycle patterns will repeat, they're missing the point. The 2021 cycle was retail-driven, emotional money, no ETFs, no regulatory clarity, no ISO implementation. But this cycle, it's an entirely different machine. ISO is about to go live, liquidity corridors are expanding, and XRP is directly plugged into the backbone of global finance. So when people say be careful, this might be the top, I just shake my head. The top? We haven't even started the real run yet. The infrastructure that needed to exist for XRP to reach true valuation is only now coming online. This is why you're seeing accumulation instead of panic selling. Whales are not dumping, they're positioning. Every dip has been met with deeper buys, and the DTCC connection proves the system is now integrated with Wall Street-level finance. If you zoom out, what's about to unfold isn't just another crypto rally. It's the transition from speculative digital assets to regulated, institutional-grade financial infrastructure. And XRP is standing right in the center of it. Now let's talk about what happens next. The actual domino effect that's about to hit this market, because what we're looking at right now isn't a random pump. It's a structural shift that's been building quietly for months. The government reopening and the ETF approvals are just the beginning. Once those ETFs go live, the liquidity channels that have been blocked will open up, and the first surge of institutional volume is going to hit XRP like a tidal wave. Remember what happened with Bitcoin ETFs? Price exploded before approval because smart money front ran the announcement. Now we're seeing the same playbook with XRP. Except this time, there's a difference. XRP isn't being positioned as a store of value. It's being integrated as the liquidity bridge for global finance. That means adoption, not speculation, usage, not hype. And here's something most people haven't realized yet. Ripple isn't just waiting for ETF approval. They're buying companies $4 billion worth to solidify their dominance across fintech and cross-border payment infrastructure. This isn't a maybe someday move. It's a full-scale expansion. Ripple is quietly positioning XRP to become the standard, the go-to settlement asset for institutional transactions. Now, think about this. While retail traders panic over small price dips, institutional money is getting ready to pour in through legally compliant vehicles. You think they're setting up all these ETFs, acquiring fintech companies, and lobbying for crypto legislation just to watch it sit at $2? Not a chance. This is groundwork for a long-term parabolic cycle. And as the Clarity Act approaches final review, we could finally see the one thing XRP has been missing for years: regulatory certainty. That's the final unlock. Once that drops, liquidity floods in, partnerships accelerate, and suddenly, The same people who called XRP dead are trying to buy in at 10 times the price. So, yeah, the next few weeks could get volatile. We might see short-term spikes and retracements, but don't mistake that for weakness. That's accumulation. The foundation of the next leg up is being laid right now. And if you're not watching closely, you're going to miss when this thing really launches. So, let's wrap this up with some real talk, because this moment right here is where conviction separates winners from watchers. The data is there, the catalysts are visible, and the momentum is undeniable. XRP isn't just trending. It's aligning with macroeconomic shifts that are pushing capital toward real-world utility. Governments reopening, ETF approvals, institutional inflows. These aren't coincidences, they're signals. You've got 11 XRP ETFs either active or waiting in pre-launch mode. You've got central banks and payment networks testing integrations behind closed doors. And you've got Ripple sitting on billions and war chest acquisitions, while global liquidity starts flowing back into risk assets. That's not random. That's a coordinated buildup. The question isn't whether XRP will move. The question is how fast it'll move once the dominoes fall. If you're new here, understand something. XRP doesn't move like the rest of the market. When it goes, it erupts. It rips through resistance levels and people are left stunned wondering how they missed it again. Every single cycle has that moment, the disbelief phase right before the explosion. We're right there now. So, take this as your reminder. Zoom out, understand the big picture, and don't let short-term noise distract you from the long-term setup. Because when institutions flip that switch, the XRP chart will look like a rocket launch. And the same people mocking it today will be the ones chasing green candles tomorrow. That's all I've got for you, but mark my words, the setup right now is massive. XRP under $100 will look like a joke when you consider where this is headed long-term. As always, this isn't financial advice, just my personal perspective after years watching this space evolve. Do your own research, protect your capital, and prepare for what could be the biggest phase of utility-driven growth in crypto history. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Stay focused.